Hello again, fellow YouTubers. Solomon Pleasant back for another Cardfight Vanguard deck profile. And yeah, I don't have a hard case on here, but this is actually a legitimate deck profile, much like the last one I did. And this is the one I said I was guaranteed on I was going to do. And for all my friends who knew about this secret deck I've been building, you're all either going to laugh or hate me for this, because of what I'm about to show. And by the time this has been uploaded, some of you have probably already figured out what I'm using for this sleeve and this deck right here, so you know what? Let's just get right down to it. For this deck, we are using Link Joker. Yep, it happened. Gonna zoom in on there for better effect. There we go. It happened. I figured I was fed up with golds, so I went to the dark side. And I will be honest, I do kind of root for the bad guys a lot in shows, so when I saw this clan being introduced, I thought to myself, you should use this clan. And honestly, I don't know why. I really don't, but it's finally finished, so I'm at least going to record this when it's actually finished, but when this is uploaded, a lot of other things will probably be uploaded before this, so yeah, by the time you're seeing this, a lot of people will have already known I'm using this. So, for our starter of this Link Joker deck, we have Star Vader Dusttail Unicorn, which is arguably one of the best starters for Link Joker, in my opinion. That is until Legion comes out. Link Joker gets some legitimate support for Legion. I probably won't use it though, just because it took forever to build this deck. It has the Forerunner ability, as well as this act ability of Counterblast 1 and put this unit into the soul. If you have a Link Joker Vanguard and your opponent has a locked card, choose one of your opponent's rear guards and lock it. Now, lock is the mechanic of turning a card face down and it cannot do anything. It turns face up at the end of the owner's turn unless there's some card that goes against that. So, really good starter. When I use him, I want to get off his ability as quick as possible so I can throw him into the soul and fill up my rear guards with more powerful units. This guy is basically there to help lock down everything. And when I actually show you a battle tactic, because I actually get to for this one, you'll see just how effective this deck can lock stuff down. So, moving on to the triggers. I run... bumped the camera. Like a dingus. Run 3 draw, Star Vader Nebula Captor, normal draw trigger. I run 3 stand, Star Vader Moon Commander, which is another vanilla stand of vanilla, but that art though. That art. That's good art. That's better than the keyboard one you get in the trial deck. Which, by the way, the trial deck video will probably be uploaded before this is, so you can check that out. I need to make sure everything's on camera. 2 of the vanilla crit trigger, Star Vader Meteor Liger, because I need crit, because you want crit in this deck. And 4 Star Vader Wes Soldat, I think that's how you say it. The more awesome looking crit trigger for Link Joker, but again, everything in here is vanilla because Link Joker doesn't get special triggers until set 17, I believe. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm pretty certain. And finally, 4 Star Vader Stellar Gauge, which is the vanilla heal. So, 3 stand, 3 draw, for 6 crit and 4 heal. Now, people can understand the 6 crit, but some people might be confused as to why I don't run more crit and more draw, and why I actually use the stand. So, the reason I use stand, and I am proud that I thought of it in this fashion, because this way I can get some actual draw power and actually get some draw. I have enough critical advantage, but I have some stand to mess over my opponents who bank on me only attacking 3 times in this deck. So, say I get a stand, and one of my units is already beefed up from power, I can stand back up and make it a whole lot worse for them when they need to guard. So, that's why. Moving on to grade 1s. I run 2 Starvader or Eagles. I actually debated not using this, but when I realized its ability is, when this unit boosts a Link Joker Vanguard, if the number of rearguards you have is more than your opponent's, the booster gains +4 till the end of the turn. So it's 10k booster. Really good for boosting, it's only good for boosting Vanguard, what am I saying? But really good considering locked units aren't counted as there, so it automatically becomes really useful if my opponent, say, has a full field. Call this out, say I've got 3 rearguards, my opponent has a bunch of stuff locked down, I automatically will get +4. It's also good for early game when I call this out and my opponent doesn't have anything, and I'm, like, say my opponent has 1 unit and I ride something, move Dusttail, and then call this out, I automatically can hit with like a 17 or 16k attack. So that's really awesome. And I run 2 because that way it doesn't clog up the deck. Next, I run 2 Starvader, 2 Barrier Starvader, Prometheum, the Link Joker P-Guard. I am so happy I got these 2 P-Guards, because these were hard to get. They were hard to find. One I managed to pull in one of the box openings that I'm not sure if it'll be uploaded before this or after this, but it'll be uploaded at some time. And it was just wonderful pulling off one of these, because I already had one, so I'm like, okay, I need one more, got it, so really awesome. I only run 2, because Link Joker is what I have noticed and experienced as a defensive deck. It really focuses on shutting down your opponent so they only have, like, the Vanguard to swing in with. So that really just means I can guard with less, which means you don't have to overrun P-Guards. You really don't. And you can run more powerful units and more powerful boosters in your deck. I would recommend at least 1. 2 is a pretty good number, in my opinion. 3 would also be good, but I like my 2 where it is. I'm very content and happy with 2. So, do those. I run 3 Mana Shot Starvader Neon. Now, I believe this was translated from Demonic Bullet Starvader Neon, so kind of a shame that they changed the name. But he's the standard, when this unit attacks, if you have a Starvader Vanguard, get +3. So he's the standard rearguard 10k attacker, which actually can come in handy at times in this deck, surprisingly. A lot of decks, 10k attacker, surprisingly for, like, surprisingly for meta clans, I guess you could say, like this, Shadow Pally, Gold Pally, I'm not sure if Royals have one. For a lot of meta clans, this is actually relatively useful, not only for early game, but late game, say, if you don't have, like, a good grade 2. This is actually a relatively okay unit to use. For other clans like Shadows, not Shadows, for other clans like Dark Irregulars, Pale Moons, trying to think of other clans that actually have stuff like this. Die Police, I'm gonna guess, probably have one. For other clans like that, they're not really necessary. They're good to have early game, but then late game, they're really just used for guard fodder or boosters. So it's actually nice to see that meta clans are doing something with, like, weaker units and turning them into relatively good units. So that's why I run 3. It's kind of necessary to run some of these 3 powerhouses. Next, I run a unit that I think every Link Joker deck should have. I run 3 Demon Claw Starvader Lanthiums. This guy is awesome. On rearguard, he has the ability of, when your opponent's rearguard is locked due to an effect of one of your cards, if you have a Link Joker Vanguard, this unit gets +2 till the end of the turn. Really awesome, because he can help me hit those magic numbers, and I can easily rack off some really good attacks just with one of these boosters. I usually wouldn't put him under Vanguard unless absolutely necessary, but really good. The only downside is he has to be on the field when the lock happens. If you call him after you lock, he's completely worthless to you and he doesn't get the power boost that is needed. But just by doing one lock, this guy becomes an instant 9k and is already better than all the 8ks out there. So, by 1, but you get the gist. And with Link Joker's ability to combo locks, this guy can get really threatening. So it's really nice to have him in the deck. I would recommend, for other Link Joker decks, 2 to 4. That's really what you want to do. I use 3 because 3 is a magic number for me. And for our last grade 2, I run 2 Prison Gate Starvader Paldinium. I run this guy simply because I need something else in the deck other than just overrunning it with P-Guards. And he's actually not a bad unit. He's basically that troll unit, and you'll see why because of his skill. It's an auto on rear guard as well, counterblast 1, and put this unit into the soul. During your opponent's end phase, if an opponent's locked card is unlocked, and you have a Link Joker Vanguard, you may pay the cost, and if you do, lock it. So, this is really just a troll card to be like, oh, I did an early game lock, and I kind of want to have that, keep that locked so that I can shut down more of your field. This guy is being my soul fodder, and when you see my grade 3 lineup, having soul fodder is not a bad idea. It's not bad to have soul fodder in this deck. So, I only run 2 because I feel like 3 kind of maxes out because he does kind of chew up your counterblast, considering it's only for 1 unit. So, that's why I only run 2. 3, I would say, would be max for this thing. So, there's my grade 1 lineup. Now for the grade 2s. I run 3 Unrivaled Starvader Radon. This is the 9k that can become a 10k when it's on rearguard and you have a Starvader Vanguard. Really good to have this card. Really good to have this on the field. This is one of the powerhouse rearguards that you want to have on the field. This and one other unit are kind of the 2 main units you want on the field. This is one of them. Really good 3 to 4. You want to run 3 to 4 of this because it's really good to have on the field, especially when you are applying pressure during your lock phase and then you're just kind of there. So, becomes an instant 12k, so really, really helpful. Enough said about that. I then run 2 Starvader, Mobius Breath Dragon, one of the more awesome units. Now, the reason I run 2 is because after you ride him on Vanguard, he doesn't become that useful after you ride to grade 3, so 2 or 3 would probably be the max for this guy. He does have a sick ability of auto on Vanguard. When this unit attack hits Vanguard, choose one of your opponent's rear guards and lock it. No cost, just have to hit. So, say my opponent's in that situation where they got a good hand, but it's mainly consistent of 2s and 3s, and they only had like 1 grade 1 to ride. This guy instantly becomes a pain because you'll have nothing to guard with, and you pretty much have to take it, and then I can just lock down something early game. So, it's really awesome to have this guy on Vanguard. The sad part is he has to hit, so when he doesn't hit, he's just kind of there as a 9k, but really good to have. Again, I only run 2. Some people could run 3. I personally run 2, just because I find it more effective and it doesn't take up as much spot in the deck then. Next for our grade 2s, we have 3 Furious Claw Starvader Niobium. This girl is pretty much like Lanthium. When a rear guard gets locked, get +2. Again, only downside, has to be on the field. If it's not, doesn't work. I run 3 because 3 is a pretty good number for this deck for the most part. It's enough where I can call to rear guard, but once I have it on rear guard, it's pretty much like, hey, I'm here pretty much to gain power. And this is something a lot of people should be hitting, but some people probably won't because they either want to kill Link Joker fast, or they want to get rid of stuff like Radon, or blow up boosters like Lanthium. So Niobium's there, it's still a target though. But it's, again, a really awesome unit. When Link Joker combos off their locks, this thing gets powered up big time. And it can instantly hit pretty much, with 1 lock, just by using Dusttail's ability, I can hit 11k Vanguards. I can hit grade 3s with just a grade 2 without any form of boost. So this instantly becomes a threat once you start locking down. Hit the camera again. Why do I keep doing that? Next, I run 2 Starvader Colony Maker. I was somewhat indifferent about this unit, but it's actually a legitimate unit. It has the auto ability of Counterblast 1 when this unit is placed on rearguard if you have a Link Joker Vanguard and your opponent has a locked unit, a locked card. You may pay the cost, and if you do, search your deck for up to 1 grade 1 or less card, card with Starvader in its name, and call to rearguard. So, say I don't have as much of a hand, and say I manage to lock some stuff down, I can call her out, use her skill, and get another row going. So, this really helps when you don't have as much of a hand, which sometimes that will happen in Link Joker. You may run out of a hand, but I have some units that are there for that. This is one of them. Only run 2 because, again, it's a Counterblast 1, but it will eat up your Counterblast because there are some other units that you want to save your Counterblast for. Dusttail's one of them over there. Dusttail's one of them. A couple other units you kind of want to save your Counterblast for, so that's why I only run 2. Kind of the same reason as Paladinium. Also because it only worked when you place it, so it's a one-time thing. Still good to have, really good units, really awesome. And finally, for the Grade 2 lineup, I run 3 Strike Starvader Kryptons. I think this was something else, but they changed it. I'm fine with that. 10k beatstick, not much to say here. If anything, if you wanted to recreate this deck with your own touch, one way you could do that is take a Krypton out and change it with a Mobius. That was what I considered, but I like having Krypton because he does have a little bit more power and is more relevant on rearguard. Mobius doesn't help on rearguard because it can't do anything on rearguard, and it's a 9k. This at least is a 10k, so with any form of boost, I can at least swing at something. And it's nice for guard fodder. Nice artwork there, too. I kind of like the spear formation, so whenever I picture him attacking, I can just picture him stabbing it like crazy. So there's that. Kind of short-winded there. And now, finally, the Grade 3s. And first off, anything standard in a Link Joker deck. 4 Starvader Infinite Zero Dragon. These were a pain to get, but they were worth it, because they're an awesome break ride, and the only other Link Joker break ride currently available is a promo. So, that kind of sucks. And it kind of has a cost. And that promo works better with Omega. Anyway, this is one of the this is probably the best break ride for Link Joker, arguably, except if you're using Omega. This is something you want to use. It has the break ride ability of when a Link Joker rides this unit. Choose a rearguard from your opponent's front row and back row, so 2 units, and lock them, and you get plus 10. So, when I show you the other Grade 3 lineup, combo that with this, and you can easily get 3... Combo this with Dusttail and one of the Grade 3s I'm about to show, and you can get 4 or 5 units locked within a turn. You can at least get 3 when you combo with Dusttail, so you instantly can make the Triangle of Death, which I will show the Triangle of Death off in a minute. It also has the nifty skill of when this unit attacks a Vanguard, this unit gets plus 2 until the end of the battle. So it just gets plus 2. So it's an instant 13k, that's why it's really good. And I would recommend running 3 or 4. 3 or 4, 3 if you really don't want to pay extra for the 4th one, 4 if you really want to guarantee a break ride. And I like break riding this thing, so that's why. Move the camera over again, because I can't fit everything on this table. For my next Grade 3, I run 1 Starvader Nebula Lord Dragon. Besides the starter, the only thing I only run 1 copy of. The reason I run 1 copy of this guy is because I like the other unit better, but he still has a really awesome ability. First, his act ability, versus Lord, but he has the act ability of Counterblast 2, choose an opponent's rearguard in the back row and lock it. It's a shame it's in the back row, but it's fine, because if you break ride, I already got something in the front row, so I can at least lock up the back row and make sure they can't boost with much and make their attacks weaker at the very least. But that's not why I run him, although his Counterblast is kind of the reason why I run some less of some of the other stuff. The reason I run 1 of this guy is, first off, because he looks awesome, and second, because he has this continuous ability. Limit Break 4, and during my turn, every Link Joker unit I have in the front row gets plus 3 for each of my opponent's locked units. Break ride that, use Dust, break ride that, and instantly I get plus 6 to my front row. So all those 9Ks become 15Ks by themselves. Just by break riding. And just by break riding, I can get 15k swingers without any form of booster. And he gets plus 6 too, so he becomes a total of a 27k attacker without any form of a boost. And that's without using his ability, Dusttail's, or anybody else's. So this guy can really stack up some power, and when I ride, and I only use 1 because when I ride him, it pretty much can throw my opponent off and be like, oh crap, I don't have enough to guard these types of assaults. So he can be really nasty and really effective when he wants to. Again, I only use 1 because he doesn't lock stuff down as much. So after I break ride, it's kind of lackluster, but when I use him, I pretty much can guarantee some really strong and really heavy attacks coming in. And move the camera one more time. Just gonna do that. And for my final grade 3, I run Restarvator Chaos Breaker Dragon. Worth every single pull and trade necessary to get this thing. Because this thing is awesome. It is truly, truly awesome. If y'all don't know what Chaos Breaker is capable of, let's start... Well, he's a lord. Let's start with this. The actability of, and arguably the good part about him, is Counterblast 1, choose a Starveyor from my hand and discard it, choose one of my opponent's rear guards, and lock it. I can only do that once, but it's really effective when I break ride. Use Dusttail. I used up only 2 Counterblast and managed to lock down 4 units, whereas Nebula Lord, I had to use 3 Counterblasts to lock down 4 units, and even then, it's something in the back row. I can do anything with this guy. This is why this guy is really pricey. His awesome limit break ability, and by the way, these are both on Vanguard, so having him on rearguard, he's an 11k swinger. Soul Blast 1, card with Starvator in its name, that's why everything has Starvator. And during my opponent's end phase, when an opponent's locked card is unlocked, I may pay the cost, and if I do, retire the unit and draw a card. So, you know how Chaos Breaker kind of cuts... You know how I said sometimes you'll lose your hand? Lock stuff down, and next turn, you get that hand back, basically. Because when you break ride, you're guaranteed 2 cards. When you do Dusttail, you're guaranteed 3. And when you do Chaos Breaker's ability himself, 4. You're guaranteed 4 cards. You can restock your hand pretty fast with that. And again, that's why I have Colony Maker and Paladinium, because sometimes I may not have Soul, and sometimes I may not have units to call out, so it's nice to have them to kind of keep them there. And Paladinium's good for Soul. This guy is nasty on Vanguard. He is an evil person, and that's why I love him so much. He is just the most boss thing I've ever seen. Love this deck. Love how it works. I'm still... Part of me is thinking you're a terrible person because you went to this clan, but part of me is saying, shut up, this clan is amazing. When I first saw this clan, and I've explained my opinions on Link Joker before, and I've stated, yeah, I thought they were broken, and when I use them, I'm like, they're not broken enough where I can feel bad about them. They're boss enough where I can feel good about using them, but they're not like golds. And I made this deck specifically because I don't like gold, so I'm like, let's make this. And also because it was something I considered for a long time. Part of me was like, don't do it. But then the devil on my shoulder was like, get out of here. We're making it. And it was worth every penny. And that's not something I can say about most of my decks so far, except for the Grand Blue, Spike Brothers, and Nubatama. So if I do another top 12, this clan is going to be higher on the list, probably. And with all of the support I've been seeing for Link Joker, I'm happy to see that they'll keep fighting against the good guys and make it harder for them, and that's what I love about it. So let's just, get what am I doing? Bird's eye view of this. Wonderful construction, and I just remembered that I have to do battle tactics. So, gonna set it right here. Gonna move down. There we go. Zoom in on Chaos right there. The most troll unit ever, because he's the most boss unit ever, and if you read his lore, you'll see he's a jerk, but that's awesome because he has a scythe, so that I automatically forgive him for what he did to Grand Blue and a lot of the other clans. He didn't touch Spikes or Nubatamas, so he only touched Grand Blue, so I'm kind of okay with that, because Grand Blue needs support. Thanks, Chaos Breaker, you gave Grand Blue support. Anyway, so we should probably get to battle tactics, and we will right so now. After shuffling and putting everything into perspective, I'm just gonna... Yeah, right there's fine. Move that there. 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 I should have prepared this earlier. There we go. Alright. So, after... God. Gosh, you! So, after I did everything and just kind of trial run, this was the hand I received after placing everything. So, we have our friend Chaos here. So, since we have a break ride, what we're going to do is, first off, you break ride, lock, 2 down. Then I would probably call Radon, and then use Dusttail's ability. Come on, you. Stay where you are. Put him into the soul. Lock. That's 3 units down. And then since you... Then you call. And considering you want to be a complete jerk, you've already given the Triangle of Death. Now let's assume you've already gotten the Triangle of Death done. And what the Triangle of Death is, you lock the front 2 and you lock the Vanguard booster, cutting off any form of attack except from the Vanguard. So that's why Link Joker is boss. So let's say, you know what, I want to have 4 cards in my hand next turn. Use Chaos Breaker's ability, get rid of that grade 3 Nebula Lord because he's not going to show up. Great, you only have 1 card, but you've locked down 4 of his units. He's only got 1 rearguard and 1 vanguard, and you have a full field. And these 2 get +2 for each single lock. So, that's a total of 8 power for each. That's a 16 plus power. So, I'd start off attacking for just 19, probably. Then attack for 21. Let's see what the drive check has. A heal trigger! So, if my opponent were at 5 damage and I were at 4 damage, this wouldn't go off. So I'm just going to assume they're at 5 damage and just give the power here. And the second check. Hey, a crit! So I give the crit to my Vanguard on the off chance. Either give it here, depends on if they guard or not. And if they're still alive, swing in with this, and they're either dead or they P-guarded it. Let's say they P-guard it. So, they only have the Vanguard to attack. So what do? You P-guard it, of course! And they basically just lost their chance to try to kill you. Whatever triggers they get, doesn't matter. And at the end of the turn, guess what? 4! Soul Blast 4. And you just gain 1, 2, 3, 4 cards in your hand to either call with what you please or guard. But, you know, let's just do an off chance and say you only Soul Blasted 3, and you want to keep something in your soul for later. That's where this guy comes in, because I have him on the field. Just Counterblast, and just lock down another rear guard, I guess. So now you have 2 in the soul to kill stuff with later. And you still have a Counterblast to kill stuff off. So, call Aura Eagle, because he's really awesome boosting rear guard, and call another one of this guy. Use Chaos Breaker's ability again. Lock another rear guard. Granted, you only have 1, but these 2 get +2. That gets +2. So that's a 16, 17, 18. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That's a 21 column. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20, 21. They need a 10k at least. They need a 10k at least for this. They need at least a 10k and a 5k, and this is a 21k column, so they're at least they better P-guard or something. So, just attack with that. Attack with Chaos Breaker. His Twin Drive would hold that. Oh wait, that would be what you would draw, so his Twin Drive would hold another Chaos Breaker, something you could ride later. And another crit! Oh, the crits are just wonderful, so you'd either give it here or here, and hopefully at this point your opponent's either dead, but even if they're not, and they attack with a rear guard, you take a damage, hey, +5 and I draw. And then they attack, you can, let's say we guard with, just to make sure. And I'm assuming they wouldn't have another rear guard, depending on what it is, but say they do, guard with Lanthem. Or intercept, but I'm just going to assume not. End of turn, they have 2 locked units. Oh, hey. Soul Blast 2. I draw 2 cards. And their field is pretty much empty at this point, and now I've got a hand to work with. And you know what I can do? Ride another Chaos Breaker just to add to that soul. So, pretty much, this is not relentless at all. I would show you the Nebula Lord formation, but he is more of just something I use one time, but let's just say I had a formation like this. And let's say I didn't discard Nebula Lord and decide to ride him. And if I didn't, and let's say that I didn't have, and let's say that I had an extra Counterblast. As you can see right there. Counterblast 2, Locker Rearguard, get +2/+2/+2, Limit Break, +3 to hold row. Works better when you break right because then you have more magic numbers to work with, but still really effective just by locking one unit. I can get more power. So, really awesome. I love this deck. I will be honest. This started out more as a grab for power because I was like, hey, I want to have a powerful deck that will wipe away my enemies. And I was like, I don't like golds at all. Shadows is more something that I see as a clan that isn't really necessarily evil. I wanted an evil deck. I really just wanted a guilty pleasure deck. And I didn't want Nova Grapplers because nobody likes Novas. And spoiler alert, there will be a Shadow Pally deck once I get all the pieces for it. It's coming together, not fully finished. This is finished though. Love this. This clan is going higher on my next. If I ever do a redo of the top 12 favorite clans, this is going to be higher on the list than last time. Much higher. And that's probably a spoiler, but I didn't say where at all. One thing I will note, if you do run out of Counterblast and Soul, and your opponent's still alive, pretty much then this deck just kind of goes into defense mode, and they're like, okay, now all we have to do is just wait for him to die, because at this point, your opponent's going to be low on cards. So you pretty much just have to wait until they get a bad draw, and then just wipe them out. This deck can go very long, can survive very long. It's a really, really effective deck. And I love it to pieces. Do as much as my Nubatamas, Spikes, and Granblues. So that is really saying something. So happy it's finished. Love every second of it. Worth every minute waited to get these things. So, this has been Solomon Pleasant. Just going to zoom in on Chaos Breaker there. Nice. This has been Solomon Pleasant, signing off.